Hello, this is Ujjwal and welcome to another video tutorial. Today I'm sharing some ideas using the Craftangles stamps and stencils, and these were very generously sent to me by the Craftangle team, and I will be guest designing on their blog this whole month. So I will be working with this very versatile nature stencil today. It has lots of different options. There is grass, there is mountains, and there are clouds and waves. So basically you can cover everything, and there are a lot of possibilities. I love that it has the negative as well as the positive, so you can create a lot of different combinations with it. And the stamp that I'm using today is this cute mermaid kisses stamp set, and the mermaids are really cute. The images are really cute in this set. So I will be using some distress oxides to create the background, and I will be using my sponge daubers and blending tool here. So first I'm using the cracked pistachio, and I'm using the negative of the stencil to create a little wave. And you will see in this particular example how you can use both the negatives and the positive. So now I'm going to use the positive and mask the wave that I created with pistachio green, and I'm going to go ahead and color the part below it, color the cardstock below it with faded jeans. So I have a nice contrast between the cracked pistachio and the blue faded jeans color. Again I'm going with the negative, and then again I will mask it off and then go with the positive to fill in the remaining space. And I'm going to continue with this pattern till I have the desired number of waves. It is really very simple and easy to do, and you can create some wonderful one layer and yet dimensional backgrounds using stencils. Once I have all the waves that I need, I'm going to take some water and splatter over the background. Now distress oxides are water reactive, so they are going to oxidize and create some really fun patterns when there is water there. So while that is drying, I'm going to stamp some mermaid images on watercolor paper. I'm using the waterproof archival ink here, black ink, to stamp the images. And now I'm using my Tombow dual brushes to color them in quickly. I am not doing a very in-depth coloring, just something very basic. So and I've sped up this process because I did not want to bore you. It took me a little while to color these images, and even for the other projects in this video, I'm going to skip the coloring part because it is similar to what I'm doing right now here. So in case you're interested in seeing a slower version of how I color, please do let me know in the comments, and I will try and make something specifically related to coloring. So I'm just using some different Tombow color markers, and I love these markers. They are really vibrant, they blend easily, and they're easy to use. So once I've colored in the image, I'm going to go back. Now this background is dry, and I'm going to go back to it and fill in the rest of it. So I'm using some broken china distress oxide and filling in the rest of the background. And I'm also going to add some depth by adding some distressing to the edges using the faded jeans distress oxide, and you can see how beautifully those inks blend. And here is another tip: when I do fuzzy cutting, I always make it a point to use any black pen or marker and color in the edges, and it just makes that cutting so much more neater. And now I'm just stamping the sentiment and just went on to adhere everything in place. And you can see that I have this beautiful vibrant card that was so quick and easy to make. So moving on to the next one. In this particular card, I created a sky background, a cloud background, and I'm going to use both the designs that are provided in the stencil. There are clouds that are bigger, and then there are some smaller cloud pattern. So I'm going to use my broken china distress oxide here and use a sponge dauber to just quickly add the ink, and I'm going to alternate the two different cloud patterns here. so that I have a variety and a mix. And I'm also going to move them slightly off center once in a while, so that the patterns have some variation in them. And you can see that the cloud background is so easy to make here. And again, you could make it lighter or darker or however you like it. So you can vary the amount of ink you add. The Distress Oxides are really saturated, they are new, and the ink, they have a lot of ink in it. So as you can see, no matter how little I try to pick up from the pad, it's really dense. Luckily, I was also going for a denser look than a light look, so this worked for me just fine. But in case you want to work with lighter colors, you can try dabbing off the ink on a scrap sheet of paper first and then adding the little bit here. So I filled up the entire cardstock with the clouds, alternating the pattern of the two clouds that is provided in the design in the stencil. And you can see these stencils are really easy to clean as well. And now I'm going to create some waves. So I'm just cutting some blue cardstock freehand and trying to create some waves. I did modify the waves a little bit later, but right now I'm adding some distressing to them as well, using the cracked pistachio distressing, and this just gives it in sync with the distressed background. So that is why I use the distressings. It makes the cardstock a little bit softer. So as you can see, I went on and colored in the mermaid image, and then I fuzzy cut it, and now I'm going to white heat emboss the sentiment here. So before you stamp the sentiment with Versamark ink, make sure your Distress Oxide is completely dry. Heat set it if possible, because they remain dry for a longer time and it might catch embossing powder everywhere. So I just heat set the embossed sentiment, and I adhered the second wave with some foam adhesive, and also the mermaid with some foam adhesive. And then I'm going to assemble everything, add it to some blue cardstock. And I absolutely love that cloud background. I think the mermaid looks really beautiful against that beautiful blue sky. For the third card, I made it more artsy, so I'm going to use this cracked pistachio Distress Oxide, and I just put some on my craft sheet, and then I sprayed some water, and I'm going to just roll my cardstock in it, and I'm going to do it a couple of times till I'm satisfied how much ink, with whatever ink has come on the cardstock. And I'm going to just let it sit a little while, and then I picked up the remaining ink with my brush and splattered that onto the cardstock, and this will give me an even more artsy look once it dries. Meanwhile, we are going to stamp the image and color it and fuzzy cut it, and this time I'm using the other mermaid image that's in the stamp set. So I colored it, fuzzy cut it, and I also filled in the edges with a black marker. And now I'm going to layer the stencil on top of this beautiful splashed background, artsy watercolor background, and very gently, very lightly I will be adding little tiny waves on this using the same cracked pistachio distressing, and the effect is really subtle and really beautiful. And then I stamped the sentiment again with the same Distress Oxide ink, and then I just assembled everything, and it looks really gorgeous. Sorry for the bad lighting in the last part. I shot it in the evening and the light wasn't good enough, but I hope you enjoyed this video. You got some ideas on how to use Distress Oxides, and how to create beautiful backgrounds, and how to use this lovely stencil and that stamp set, which is really cute. Thank you for joining me today, and have a great day.